Residential sales comparison and income approach, page 7. An income methodology's introduction to sales comparison. Again, appraisers must be careful about making unsupported or subjective conclusions when considering any perceived social force. They should rely on objective data evidenced by the market. Not properly balanced. Balance is a condition of supply and demand that exists in the real estate market when there are slightly more properties available than buyers. The principle of supply and demand suggests that when supply exceeds demand, prices will fall, and when demand exceeds supply, prices will rise. In other words, if there are more buyers than properties, there is the potential for prices to rise. This is known as a seller's market. If there are more properties than buyers, property values diminish. This condition is known as a buyer's market. A demand at supply ND market in balance. Supply slightly outweighs demand. Seller's market set to a seller's market is a circumstance in a real estate market where sellers can choose from a large number of buyers who are looking for property in a particular area or of a particular property type. This may be due to people moving into an area, sparse new construction of housing, high construction costs for labor or materials, favorable economic conditions, like a new factory opening, or lower interest rates. When fewer properties are available, the lower supply, relative to the demand, tends to keep property values higher. Often in this situation, a seller is in a position to stay closer to the original asking rate. Supply is HT demand. Seller's market demand outweighs supply. Price or negotiate favorable terms in the seller's best interest. Buyer's markets. A buyer's market is a situation in the real estate market where buyers have a large selection of properties to choose from. This may be due to population shifts away from an area, overbuilding of new housing, or bad economic conditions, such as a factory closing that causes unemployment or people to leaving an area. When more properties are available, the increased supply tends to keep property values lower. In this situation, a buyer is often in a position to negotiate for a lower price or more favorable terms in the buyer's demand. Supply y the buyer's market. Supply outweighs demand be he best interest. Figure 1.1. Because real estate markets are by nature inefficient, they typically respond to supply and demand more slowly than markets for greater than other products or services. This slower response time is the result. Supply and demand are rarely enough of the time it takes for property to be bought, sold, developed, or built. If people lose their jobs today, they cannot all expect to sell their homes readily. Or, if builders realize a need for housing, it takes time to build houses. And when that need diminishes, often there are houses started that still must be finished. Because of the inefficiencies of real estate markets, supply and demand are rarely balanced due to the inefficiencies of real estate markets. And when balance occurs in a market, it can change key CTX.